Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith.
A new report shows all the sequester screaming was nothing but hype. It has been months since those across-the-board spending cuts, and there have been very few government job losses in the nation's capital. The unemployment rate in Washington, D.C. remains the same at 5.3%, much lower than the national average. And the Washington Post reports that 40,000 jobs have actually been added in the Washington area. Meanwhile, others are actually applauding the sequester. Paul Strand tells us why.
We love the idea of the sequester.
Sequester supporters like Tom Giovanetti, head of the Texas-based Institute for Policy Innovation, say any move Washington makes to actually slow down its wild spending is a good move. And he points out in 2011, both the White House and Congress came up with and approved this scheme to have automatic across-the-board spending cuts kick in if they couldn't negotiate some other kind of cuts deal.
We think that was a great idea. We think it's a great device. We think we ought to be planning Sequester 2 and Sequester 3 right now because nothing else has worked.
Some in Washington say these are very deep and painful cuts in spending. But Giovanetti says not really.
Most American families, when they talk about a cut, they mean spending less money this year than we did last year. That's not what the government thinks of as a cut.
Most of the budgets for federal departments are rigged to automatically rise several percentage points every year.
If the government is planning to spend 5% more next year, and now they're only going to spend 3% more, they consider that to be a drastic cut. And that is the nature of the sequester. In almost every federal department, spending goes up, not down.
But just less than it was going to go up. The only real cuts hit the Defense Department. And even then, it's only cut back to 2007 spending levels, the year when America's military was engaged in both Iraq and Afghanistan.
So if that amount of money is enough to fight two wars at the same time, it's probably not a drastic cut. And don't forget, defense spending immediately starts going up again next year.
Which is why folks like Giovanetti want to see more sequesters, but with real cuts and real limits on spending.
If you don't have a limit, you don't budget. If you don't have a limit, you don't make choices. You do everything.
And that's something believers in limited government just can't abide. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.